Today, we're really diving deep, aren't we, into something that's just, well, it's everywhere now. Unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs. And what strikes me, what's really different now is how we talk about it. It's not just, fuzzy photos or stories from the fringe anymore.
Not at all. We're seeing a steady stream of reports, and crucially, from very credible people. Military pilots, trained observers.
People who know what they're looking at, and sensor data too, right? Things captured by advanced systems that just don't fit.
Exactly. Data that seems to defy, our current physics, our technology. It really forces those big questions to the surface.
What are they? That's the big one. And maybe even more pressing, why now? Why this apparent uptick in activity?
That's the core of it, isn't it? There's definitely a confluence of factors. Sure, our detection tech is better, so we see more.
Okay.
But the consistency in some reports, the corroboration between witnesses, sensors, it feels like something more is happening.
Right. Something significant.
So our mission today, if you like, in this deep dive, is to try and move past just listing sightings. We want to explore some potential explanations, some frameworks.
Using the material we've got, trying to build a structured way to think about it all.
Precisely. Something that gives you, the listener, some solid ideas to chew on, some different perspectives.
Because it's easy to get curious, but also maybe a bit lost in it all. It's complex stuff.
Absolutely. So we'll try to walk through it clearly, connect some dots, hopefully make it engaging rather than just, overwhelming.
Okay, let's start. Where do we begin? What might be kicking this all off? The catalysts.
Well, one obvious place to look is the state of the world right now. It's fragile, wouldn't you say?
Understatement of the year, maybe.
Yeah.
Tensions simmering, actual conflicts, the background hum of potential larger war. It's unsettling.
Deeply unsettling. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it, if there is an outside intelligence watching us, maybe for a long time, would they look at a species seemingly getting closer and closer to, let's call it a threshold of self-destruction, and maybe pay closer attention?
That's a chilling thought. Like, we're a science experiment about to go wrong, and they're leaning in for a better look.
Or perhaps something else. Is it concern? Is it preparation for some kind of intervention if we cross a line? Or just gathering data on societal collapse?
The motivations could be so varied. Maybe they're just watching to see if we pull back from the brink.
That's certainly one possibility. Or maybe assessing what happens if we don't. It puts our current global situation in a very different, almost cosmic light.
Okay, so global instability is one potential driver. What else is happening that might draw attention?
Well, look at our technology. The pace of change is just breathtaking, isn't it?
It really is. AI, robotics, quantum physics, things that were science fiction, like 5 minutes ago, feel like they're becoming reality.
Exactly. And imagine seeing that from the outside. A relatively young species suddenly getting its hands on potentially reality-altering tools.
You mean they might be concerned about what we'll do with it?
It's highly plausible. Think about it. If you're an advanced observer, seeing us suddenly grasp these powerful concepts, AI that can learn, robotics becoming more sophisticated, probing the quantum realm.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you be interested, maybe even worried, about the ethics, the control, the potential for unintended consequences, things that could affect more than just us?
So it's not just that we might blow ourselves up, but also that we might accidentally stumble into something bigger or build something dangerous.
Precisely. The idea that we might be on the verge of replicating systems or understanding principles that are, far beyond our current wisdom to manage.
Or technological coming of age, as it were.
You could put it that way. It might signal we're hitting a new phase, one that requires, from their perspective, closer scrutiny. Are we becoming relevant on a larger scale?
Interesting. So those are some potential whys for the increased attention. Let's shift gears then. What are some possible scenarios for who or what they might be and why they're here? The first one mentioned is ancient lodgers and nuclear guardians. Sounds intriguing.
It is. This idea suggests they're not new visitors at all. They might have been here for, potentially thousands, even millions of years.
Lodgers. Like, they live here.
Potentially. Using parts of the planet we don't access easily. The deep oceans are often cited as a possibility, vast, unexplored, hidden.
Right. Earth as cosmic real estate.
Exactly. Maybe it's strategically important, a good observation post, resource-rich, a quiet corner of the galaxy. We can only guess. But they've been here quietly coexisting. Until we develop nuclear weapons. That's the core of the nuclear guardian part.
Okay. So our nukes aren't just a threat to us in this scenario.
Not at all. They're potentially a direct threat to them, to their bases, their operations, their safety, if they are indeed physically present here.
A global nuclear war would wreck the place for everyone, wouldn't it?
It would render the planet potentially uninhabitable, contaminate everything. So from their perspective, our development and, crucially, our testing and deployment of nukes is a major concern, a direct threat to their environment and security.
And that explains, or could explain, the sightings around nuclear bases, missile silos, Navy fleets carrying nuclear arms.
It provides a strong, if unsettling, rationale. Their actions, the observation, maybe even interference. It's not about saving humanity necessarily, it's about self-preservation.
That puts a different spin on those stories, doesn't it? Like UAPs reportedly shutting down missile systems during the Cold War. Or watching Chernobyl, Fukushima.
Exactly. Less benevolent intervention, more risk management. Like a landlord, as the analogy goes, making sure the tenant doesn't burn down the building with dangerous experiments.
A galactic landlord. Okay, it's pragmatic, if a bit cold.
Very pragmatic, safeguarding their own interests on a planet they may have inhabited for a very long time.
All right, let's look at another possibility. Scenario 2, immortal academics and the terrestrial laboratory. That sounds different.
Very different focus. This imagines beings who operate on a vastly different timescales. Perhaps they've overcome mortality or live incredibly long lives.
Immortal academics. So their driving force is knowledge?
The pursuit of knowledge, yes. Understanding the universe, life in all its forms. And Earth, in this view, is a fascinating laboratory. We, along with all of their life here, are subjects of study, long-term observation of biological and societal development.
Okay, that casts things like, well, abduction reports in a different light. Data gathering.
It's one interpretation within this framework, yes. Biological sampling, physical checks, maybe even trying to understand consciousness. It's clinical, detached.
Is there any comfort in this scenario? Like maybe they have ethical rules?
The scenario allows for that possibility. Perhaps advanced ethics permit study, but forbid unnecessary harm. But the key feeling is detachment. We might be incredibly interested.
Like ants to an entomologist.
Something like that. Our current stage might be too rudimentary for them to consider meaningful dialogue. We're a data point in a vast cosmic study. Their interest is academic, long-term.
Right. Less about interaction, more about observation. Okay, moving on. Scenario 3, the cosmic sours and the grand experiment. This sounds almost parental.
It implies a much more fundamental connection, yes. The idea that these beings aren't just observers, they might be our creators, or at least they seeded life here.
Cosmic gardeners, planting life across the universe.
That's the metaphor. Spreading life, maybe a specific template like the humanoid form on suitable planets. Earth is one plot in a vast garden.
An experiment to see how life develops under different conditions.
Exactly. To observe the different paths evolution and consciousness can take, our entire history becomes a kind of ongoing data stream for them.
And sightings are checkups, making sure the experiment is running.
Periodic monitoring, perhaps. Gauging progress, noting variations. Are we developing as expected? Are we an interesting deviation?
It makes you wonder if intervention would spoil their experiment.
Possibly. Their role might be purely observational in this case. And those ancient myths, gods from the sky giving knowledge,
could be distorted memories of early interactions, faint echoes of the gardeners checking on their crops.
It's an interpretation that ties ancient mythology to this modern phenomenon, yes. Yeah. Filtered through early human understanding.
Okay, that's a profound one. Let's shift to something darker. Scenario 4, the confined species and the whispers of liberation. This sounds ominous.
It takes a sharp turn, definitely. This proposes that humanity isn't free, that we're somehow contained, imprisoned on Earth.
Imprisoned by who and why?
By some unknown powerful intelligence. The why is obscure, but the how involves Earth being a kind of containment facility. Maybe our cycle of birth, death, reincarnation is part of the mechanism.
Preventing escape or real progress.
That's the unsettling idea, that our reality is managed, limited, and then you have phenomena like crop circles.
Yeah, what about them?
In this scenario, those complex geometric patterns aren't just random. They could be messages, attempts by another benevolent group to warn us.
Or those stories of lights battling in the sky.
Could be interpreted as skirmishes, conflicts between our wardens and these potential liberators.
And the men in black.
They fit neatly into this narrative too, don't they? Agents of the controlling power, suppressing evidence, silencing witnesses, keeping the lid on.
So we're caught in the middle of a cosmic struggle and mostly unaware. That's deeply disturbing.
It is perhaps the most paranoia-inducing scenario, framing our existence in a very different, constrained way.
Okay, let's move away from that one for a moment.
What?
Scenario 5, the temporal guardians from our own future, time travelers.
The idea that the occupants aren't alien at all, but us, future humans who've cracked time travel.
And they're back here. Why? Tourism.
Less likely tourism, more likely. Safeguarding their own existence. Maybe something goes terribly wrong between our time and theirs.
Like a critical event, a point where history could diverge and prevent their future from happening.
Precisely. So their primary mission is to observe tiny, careful adjustments to ensure their timeline remains intact. But they have to be incredibly cautious.
The butterfly effect, right? Change one small thing.
And you could unravel your own reality. That explains why they might be so elusive. Minimal interaction. Quick appearances and disappearances.
They can't risk messing up the past, so their ships are arcs of time.
That's a evocative way to put it. Navigating temporal currents, observing critical moments, ensuring continuity. It's a mission of profound self-preservation, but tied directly to our own history.
Makes sense, in a way. Okay, next up, the interdimensional neighbors and the bleeding realities. This sounds like it really pushes the boundaries of physics.
It definitely challenges our basic understanding of reality. Forget just space travel. This is about other dimensions.
Other dimensions, coexisting with ours.
Imagine reality isn't just the 3 spatial dimensions we perceive. Maybe there are others, stacked or layered very close to ours, separated by thin barriers.
Okay.
And maybe these barriers aren't always stable. There are weak points, places where dimensions can sort of bleed into each other.
And UAPs appearing and disappearing instantly.
Might not be speed, but facing. Shifting between dimensions. What looks like impossible acceleration to us is just them slipping from one reality layer to another.
Like stepping through a doorway we can't see.
Exactly. For them, dimensional travel might be routine. And maybe other weird phenomena, ghosts, apparitions, could they be brief glimpses into these adjacent realities?
Worlds brushing against each other. The veil thinning. It's a completely different way to think about presence. They might be here all the time, just slightly out of phase.
It opens up a vast landscape of possibilities beyond just nuts and bolts spacecraft traveling interstellar distances. Reality itself might be more complex, more populated than we think.
Wow. Okay, one final scenario here, and it sounds perhaps the most cosmic. The cosmic recyclers and architects of consciousness.
This one is definitely more esoteric, more philosophical, you might say. It posits intelligences involved in a grand, universe-wide process.
A process involving consciousness itself.
Yes. The idea that planets like Earth are essentially crucibles or nurseries for developing self-aware beings. Consciousness is a fundamental aspect of the cosmos that evolves.
And these beings, what's their role?
They might be involved in guiding or managing this process. Maybe they step in, subtly or otherwise, when a civilization reaches a certain point, perhaps unsustainability or readiness for a transition to a different state of being.
Harvesting, but not individuals.
Less individual salvation, more like shepherding or integrating collective consciousness. Maybe it gets recycled into the cosmic fabric or seeds new developments elsewhere. It's vast in scale.
So UAPs showing up during our crises could be them assessing our rightness.
Are we ready for the next stage? Are we approaching a transition point? They're like cosmic tenders of awareness operating on scales we can barely conceive.
Disclosure, then, wouldn't be about governments, but about us understanding our place in this huge cycle.
It reframes the whole thing, doesn't it? Understanding our role in an infinite process of being and becoming, perhaps overseen by ancient, incredibly advanced forces.
It's staggering. Just listening to all these possibilities laid out.
It really is. The range is incredible.
From ancient inhabitants worried about nukes, to detached scientists, our own creators, future versions of ourselves, dimensional neighbors, these vast cosmic architects.
Each scenario offers a completely different lens through which to view the phenomenon.
And the big question just hangs there, doesn't it? Whatever they are, what is their ultimate design for humanity? What does this increased presence mean for us right now and for our future?
That remains the core mystery, the answers. Maybe they're locked away in government files. Maybe they're deep in the oceans. Maybe they're encoded in crop circles. Or maybe somewhere inside ourselves.
But the feeling grows stronger, doesn't it? That conviction.
We are not alone.
Yeah, we're not alone. But understanding who our cosmic companions are and what they intend, that's the puzzle.
Perhaps the most profound puzzle we face.
And maybe, just maybe, the day we start getting real answers is closer than any of us think. That day could change, well, everything.
Indeed. It could reshape our entire understanding of our place in the cosmos.